I'm Andrew Yang.
Elizabeth Warren.
Pete Buttigieg.
Klobuchar.
Booker.
Bloomberg.
Sanders. Wyden.
Dyer.
Patrick, and I'm running to be the
Democratic Party's nominee for President of the United States.
I'm running to be your nominee.
But no matter who ends up on that stage as our nominee in the convention,
We need the whole Democratic Party to unite.
If we want to take back the White House and win seats all across the country.
And deliver a presidency consistent with our democratic values.
Unity is what this moment in history demands of us right now.
Because the stakes have never been higher.
As Democrats, we know there is so much more that unites us than divides us.
And next year, we have the opportunity to make sure that our shared values are represented.
We have to elect representatives that will ensure that America leads the world, not just by the example of our power, but by the power of our example.
Our values of equality, justice, and opportunity for all.
Our belief that anyone from any walk of life should have a fair shot at the American dream.
Our shared hopes to build a brighter future for the next generation.
What Democrats like you and me do between now and July of 2020
Will determine whether we can overcome the division in our politics
To build a more hopeful and inclusive America.
That work starts now.
the DNC is working hard to build a strong and capable Democratic Party.
To lift Democrats to victory in 2020.
From the State House to the White House.
That work is incredibly important.
That's why I'm proud to support the DNC's Democratic Unity Fund. I hope you will support it as well.
If I wind up,
If I wind up
as the Democratic Party's nominee, I'm going to need a strong DNC there to help win this fight for the presidency.
And all of us will need the unified support of our party.
And of the Democrats like you.
This election is going to be won by all of us, candidates, supporters, and the DNC working together.
And that's why the DNC's Democratic Unity Fund is so important.
together, and only together.
can we build the infrastructure we need to organize our communities.
Mobilize around a common purpose.
get out.
Winning in November can't happen without you.
Support the Democratic Unity Fund.
If you're ready to join me in
Fighting for the White House, the Congress.
And seats in all 50 states.
And the territories.
I need you to join us.
let's win this together.
I put you through that in order to really capture the amount of just utter bald-faced lack of credibility that these people have. These people who are stabbing each other in the back. You have, of course, Bloomberg talking about how he will support the eventual nominee. I don't believe that'll happen. Buttigieg, who is probably leveraging his way to the vice presidency. Tom Steyer. Where do we even begin? Elizabeth Warren. How many liars can you fit in one video? This guy can't even remember which lies he's told the same day because his mind is slipping. But most of all, I mean, Debo Patrick nobody knows about, but Andrew Yang, Mr. Anti-Establishment, and Bernie Sanders, Mr. Senior Anti-Establishment. These people are all backstabbers, and I have to give you some news. These people are going to lead to the defeat of the Democrats in 2020, whether you help or not. Right? So if you're a person who is on the left side of the aisle and you think that one of these people can become president, I'm sorry to tell you, but they are all going to crash and burn. And the fact is that those of you thinking that the polls are indicating that there's some sort of window and wiggle room and everything, the polls have been wrong over and over and over and over again. They were wrong in 2018 in Florida. They were wrong in 2018 in Missouri. They were wrong in 2016 in Michigan. They've just been wrong over and over and over again. And they don't learn their lesson. And you don't learn your lessons if you're on the left. That the only polls that matter are the polls that are counted the day of the election. So that was the DNC's Democratic Unity video. Why am I bringing it up? I got, thanks to the people in National File, have to admit I was a little nervous. I didn't know if they would end up supporting this, but they did publish today my final updated version of the Mattis story. John Mattis, 2016, smeared an entire group of people that he had spent the better part of a year volunteering with for Bernie Sanders in San Diego. And what did the Bernie Sanders campaign do to protect their honor and public integrity? Nothing. They basically pretended like these bogus allegations were true. And they tried to claim that they had informed the Clinton campaign of supposed Russian collusion that tried to infiltrate their campaign, when in reality, that collusion had never happened. The whole thing was bogus, but it was less important to defend the honor of people that had been their supporters, that had given their time, their money, in some cases, preached Bernie's message to people in public spaces, door to door. Bernie Sanders essentially wrote them off, didn't look at them as people worthy of defending, possibly because he didn't have time for it, but also because to have fought this battle, Bernie Sanders would have had to do something that he's never done in his entire career, and that is finally position himself as the real alternative to the Democratic Party, as opposed to some sort of more concentrated version of it, because the entire Democratic Party is devoted to classist, class warfare policies, racist against various people. Sometimes it's against white people. Sometimes it's against people that are of other ethnic groups that don't believe in the same garbage as they do. The Democratic Party is just a total and utter disaster, and we do have to break up the two-party system. So the Republicans eventually something will have to be done too, because there's too much corruption on both sides. But I don't think it's going to happen at the moment. We'll have to wait for that to happen. What's been going on over the past 3 years has to be brought to the public light as fast as possible. So I want you to share this article. Granted, it's not exactly easy to navigate this page simply because of some sort of glitch. You can see that. But it goes through. This is just the first in a series, hopefully. I think that they're going to publish all of them, where we go through all of the different machinations that went into this hoax that has never been adequately covered by anyone in the media, not in the conservative media, not in the alternative conservative media, except now for National File and a few YouTube channels like Tom Binns and the Hard News Network, where I wrote the story originally. It hasn't been covered by the mainstream media, certainly not, because some of them are implicated in it. Rachel Maddow. And to be quite honest with you, it's on the progressive side, they've also punted on the story because they don't care. They have people within their own ranks that were complicit in this whole cavalcade of lies. Ryan Grimm and Jason Cherkis, they were completely complicit in this disgraceful slander against James Boydston. This is Jim Boydston. Talked to him several times. Great person, so far as I know. If Jim ever did anything to you, it's not my fault, but he's always been above board with me. U.S. Navy veteran, opera tenor in San Diego, as well as Joe Pieroli. Joe is over in also as well in San Diego. Don't really want to mention anything. I think she works in a capacity I can't really mention on the air. So, for fear of what repercussions. So, yeah, both of them were delegates to the Democratic National Committee or Democratic National Convention in 2016. And they were slandered by a certain person right here, John Mattis. They were slandered by this spineless weasel, this mole, this operative on behalf of Correct the Record, or actually, no, American Bridge 21st Century. Now, maybe he wasn't officially an operative. Maybe he was doing it on a volunteer basis. But he admitted to my colleague Adrian Lloyd in a telephone conversation he was in almost daily contact with them. That article will probably come out later, possibly at the end of the weekend. But what you need to do is spread this article. Read through it if you're not familiar with it already. This is really one of the things that it's probably the biggest project I've dedicated to myself to since I started doing writing and also video making and things like that. It's been the biggest story I've ever worked on. There's nothing else that I've really seen as a worthwhile. Obviously there have been other stories I've investigated. I do a lot of dedicated work to that as well. But this one is above them all. And you can actually see here's an example where Jim had posted just a comment that George Soros money goes to Priorities USA, goes to Indivisible. This was in 2017, and they claimed that this was Russian propaganda or Albanian propaganda. I don't know how that fits in. That was published during the election. How could it be published during the election when the election happened in 2016 and the comment was published in 2017? And Indivisible wasn't even in existence until the end of 2016, after the election. We can even look it up, Indivisible. You can look at indivisible.org. You can even find that who we are, about us. It doesn't even say that much. It doesn't even say who their members are. Indivisible formed. Sorry, I know that's a little anticlimactic. It does say December 2016 here. Yeah, this is from Ezra Levin. It says in 2017, the weekend after the 2016 election, my wife Leah and I gathered a group of friends at our house. We were grieving and angry and scared, and we were all trying to answer a simple question: what do we do now? We didn't have answers, but we knew we had to do something. Yada yada yada, blah blah blah. So they get to the point after like a billion times. Actually, yeah, it says here Rachel Maddow basically pimped this group. So I tweeted out a link to our Google Doc guide while slurping soup at our kitchen table after work one day in December. So they were forming it in December 2016. Leah and I thought that maybe our friends and family would take a look. Then something crazy happened. People read it. Google Docs started crashing within a couple hours because of the traffic. We had to make a website just so people could download it. Over the next few weeks, we made it watching in amazement as traffic picked up and the media started to call. I was at work in D.C. on January 4th when I got a call from MSNBC. Rachel Maddow wanted me on the show that night. I ran home, changed my shirt, and rushed to the airport. I got to the studio about 30 minutes before airtime. I watched Rachel's phenomenal 20-minute segment on the Indivisible Guide backstage in the green room along with everyone else. So that is how Indivisible got formed. So how could Jim have interfered with the election by commenting on a group called Indivisible that Rachel Maddow herself pimped as a new group in January 2017, 2 months after the election? And you have these shills from the Young Turks still trying to claim that they are anti-establishment. They're saying the establishment scam of Unity by John Iadarola from TYT, Buddy from TYT, as some people in my circle call him. These people have zero integrity. They are complicit in the whole scam that Bernie and Elizabeth Warren and to some extent Andrew Yang have perpetrated since the election started. And I am not going to ever give up on fighting for these witnesses that were so generous enough to share their story with me. And if you want to talk to me about this, I'm at your service. Obviously, you know, if you want to talk to some of the witnesses, I could probably put you in touch with them. You know, I don't think that they don't need me as a middleman either, but I'm happy to oblige you if you want. But if you're one of these voters, now look, I don't want to just deceive you. I am not progressive by any means. I'm actually pretty far to the libertarian camp. So I wouldn't vote for any of these people anyway. I can't tell you who to vote for, but Bernie Sanders did nothing for these people. Bernie Sanders, who talks all the time about how he defends the little person, the powerless and the hungry, he did nothing for these people who were willing to just go out there and volunteer for him over and over and over again. So I would recommend that you don't vote for him. Some of them might still say that you should. That's up to them. Would I tell you to vote for Andrew Yang? Probably not. You could still vote for Tulsi Gabbard. I'm pretty realistic that a lot of people who voted for Bernie probably still wouldn't vote for Donald Trump, and that's fair. You know, people can vote for whoever they want. This race in 2020 is going to be basically just a charade in terms of the Democrats. It's a complete charade. The superdelegates are going to be relevant. Michael Bloomberg is going to be a significant wrench in the machinery. And I don't know exactly what you're so bullish about if you're one of these Democrats. By the way, you know, walking around, what are people actually worried about? And sorry, I haven't been making videos about it because I don't have good information to share. People are worried about the coronavirus. Some people are worried about the Super Bowl. People are distraught over Kobe Bryant still. I am over it, but, you know, respect to the guy. People have moved on. The impeachment was a total failure. And Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and all the other senators involved will be complicit in its failure. They should have come out and said, we can beat him. We don't need this impeachment trial. Right? But their integrity is so shallow, you could probably fit it in a contact lens. That's about it. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also subscribe to me on BitChute and on Minds.com, as well as BitChute, Minds.com, and Subscribestar if you want to throw me a couple bucks. All of those are at Chef Leopard, and on Gab at Starscream85. Have a great weekend.